Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage, welcome to a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. It's gorgeous out, it's like 60, 65 degrees, starting to really get that sense of like summertime and all that. You know, spring is here, so it's going to get cold and get warm, and we got fake summer and false, you know, all that kind of stuff. Weather really likes playing tricks on you here in Pennsylvania this time of year, but we have a nice night here in the garage. So we got both garage doors up, and we're going to be working on the front end of the truck. So when I'm talking about the front end of the truck, specifically our intercooler setup. So as you can see before me, we have a bunch of parts on the ground and our intercooler and all that kind of stuff. We also have some stuff from Summit Racing here. This is just a bunch of miscellaneous push lock fittings, some more quick latch springs for our bedsides. We also have this hose adapter for our radiator, so we will actually be cutting this down and welding onto here to make this a nice sealed setup that we can use some AN lines. So we have a lot of stuff for that. There's still a couple more, like our other radiator adapter. We're still waiting on that to show up. All this came from Summit. And then from Ace Race Parts, we have our V-bands. So what I decided to do, if you guys remember, our intercooler originally had hose ends on it for like a hose coupler, and I don't want that. We've blown boots in the past. I want that to be a non-issue. So I went ahead and I grabbed these V-bands from Ace Race Parts. Very nice. I mean, really heavy-duty clamp. Very nice clamp. But the magic with these are they're actually one half aluminum and the other half is stainless. So, I mean, I would have rather had mild steel because that's what we'll be using for our tubing. Maybe we'll go to an aluminum down the line. But for now, I just wanted to use mild steel because we can do it in the garage here. So I got these V-bands. I was going to go with the Van Gen setup that Vibrant has, but I decided I only want to use the two bottom mounting points for our intercooler, so the piping will actually kind of be part of the structure of that. So we'll have the two bottom bolts, and then our piping also will keep the intercooler in place. But because we have our Armor Inc. Solid engine mounts there, so we won't get any twist, and we'll just keep everything together, like I said, supporting the intercooler. So like I said before, this originally had hose ends on it. I cut those off, took our two V-bands and welded them on there. Not too shabby for somebody who welds aluminum about twice a year when I have a little project like this, but they're welded on both the outside and the inside to ensure that we have a nice strong weld there. So also, coming off of our turbo was the other issue. So I got another one of these for that, and I was originally going to basically cut this elbow adapter for our Garrett over there. And I was going to cut it down and add these V-bands to it, but this is a 3-inch right here, so I'd have to cut it like all the way back here. Then we'd have two clamps next to each other. Wouldn't look good at all. What I decided to do was, when I got looking at it, I figured out that these are actually the same size as the outlet of our Garrett, and our clamp can center that up. The only problem is the aluminum side of these has the O-ring groove. I'd like to have the O-ring groove, so what I did was I actually built this up with weld. As you can see, it's still kind of rigid there. And then I had a friend of mine machine that surface flat and put our O-ring groove inside of it. So effectively we will be able to clamp right to our Garrett and go right into our intercooler. So the reason I chose to go this route rather than welding something on the Garrett, like I said, originally I did not know that these would be the same size. But once I figured that out, it was just kind of a happy little accident. But the main thought is, if I had to weld something on here and change this to something different, like say the Van Gen setup, which I don't know if it might be the same flange as well, but I don't want to kind of ruin the front of the turbo, because if something ever happens, that blows up, or we want to swap our 88mm out for like whatever, a bigger one, a 96 or 98 or whatever they are, we can do that because we don't have anything special here. This is a box Borg Warner GT55. All we need is another GT55. Like I said, if this blows up, if we're at a race or something, we can just try and locate another one, and bing, bang, boom, we can go right to it. So that's kind of the game plan here with the intercooler. I want to get that mounted up here. So we got to see exactly where that falls with our front end. So we may cut our grill area out and all that. So we'll kind of get to doing that. I would really like to have these up top, our entrance and the exit to the intercooler, but to get it as far forward as I would like, I think I'm probably going to have to flip it over. So that's kind of the game plan. Also, I made some pie cuts to have 90s that we can weld together, but that's kind of the game plan. We're going to try and get our intercooler kind of fabbed up, get it, maybe get the mount made, get, our, losing my train of thought. Get our pie cuts all, kind of oriented, get maybe everything tack welded so I can finish weld that later. And then we can get the intercooler in, get that job done, and just move on to some of the other stuff we got. Like I said, want to get the radiator mounted, but we don't have that other fitting. No need to really rush and do that right now. So on to the intercooler. Well, we are officially mocked up. So I know right now for certain this is definitely going to be a multi-night project, just trying to get the, everything lined up and all that. We have to still make our intercooler mount and all that. But that is basically where it's going to sit. I did drill 4 holes in the grill area of the truck. I did grab the chrome grill that used to be on the truck. Then I completely forgot that the front end is a 1500 front end now. So that just didn't do us any good. I was just going to try and mock it up, see, hey, maybe I'll just put the old chrome grill on there. It's a little beat up, but hey, a little nostalgia. Well, I don't even know if nostalgia is the right word to go with the truck, but a little piece that was originally on it since, well, there's not much of that left. So anyhow, this is about where the intercooler is going to mount. I originally had it up the other way with the pipes coming, and they would kind of come straight over. And it looked all right, but with it down like this, we can move it further away from the engine because of our little supports right here. We can actually move it a little further out to give a little more access in there. If we have to change a belt or whatever we have to do. But also, I just like how, it's kind of nice and tidy. Well, either way, it actually looked pretty good because everything kind of lines up pretty good. But I like how the intercooler pipe just kind of slopes down. We're avoiding our power steering lines. Not that we'll probably change them eventually, honestly. But I just liked how that looked. And like I said, I get the intercooler closer to the front of the truck and to the grill. That being said, kind of the same deal over here. I can clock the turbo down closer to the oil filter housing, and we can just kind of do the same thing. Nice and easy, a nice straight shot. The intercooler side to side is not set yet, so we'll have to look at that some more. But basically, height-wise and forward-wise, it's good. Now the other thing, and it's probably easier to see on the other side, is if you look at it from this angle, see the engine has a rake to it. So the engine's sitting at about a 5.5 degree angle, I think is what the angle finder said. So what I'm thinking about doing is when we make our mount, because what we're probably going to do is make it out of tube, we're just going to tilt this thing back ever so slightly to match the engine, which when you're standing here, I don't know if it shows up on camera, you can definitely see like the gap. Not that it's a big deal, but I think it'll just look little bit better if we tilt that thing that 5.5 degrees. It's nothing drastic. When the when the front clip is down on the truck, I don't think you'll be able to notice. But we basically, my plan is we're gonna have to set our bender up. We're gonna take a piece of that 1 5/8 tube. We're gonna put 2 bends on it, go from frame rail to frame rail, about 5 inches up. And I figure with my tabs, when I tilt them back, that'll give us our 5 1/4 to the bottom brackets on the intercooler. Now that being said, in order to do this correctly, we're gonna have to get rid of these factory mounts. We'll leave this portion here for our air dog, which maybe we'll fashion a new mount for that later, but we're gonna get rid of the full mount over there, cut this one down, and then we can kind of build our tube bracket for our intercooler. And once we have that, we can center up like where it's going to be and get everything centered, get everything square to the engine, and then we can get everything mocked up proper for our intercooler piping. So I'm going to try and do this with the front clip on, but if it's a pain in the ass, we'll take her off. So got the front clip off. I went to go cut that first bracket off. I said, you know what, why don't we just remove this thing? It's easy enough to do. Unfortunately, I did not hit the record button on the camera, but it was nice and easy to do. Just set my stool there and then just kind of lift it up with my pin, yada, yada, yada. Now we laid it down on some blankets and we were able to have full access to the front. I love the look of the truck like this. I mean, it just looks awesome. With the front end just hanging out there, we can, you know, check out our beautiful Freedom Racing Engines engine, our D&J Precision cover, our fluid amper, our Garrett turbo. You know, it looks awesome. This thing will look just cool sitting wherever, just like this. But anyhow, we're gonna have to put the front clip back on because I believe it's supposed to rain tonight. Not that it will hurt it, but I just don't want to leave it out in the rain. But anyhow, got the 2 mounts off. These front, I guess it'd be core support mounts, but they're really like just body mounts, the same as on the body originally. A little bit of weight, not much. Also got these little, I guess, reinforcements from where the bumper used to bolt on here. I got them out of there just because, well, I was there, had the grinder, why not? We will have to pull our Air Dog Champ filter setup off, so we can kind of cut this piece of that bracket down. We're going to still utilize that for our mount, but I'm just going to cut this down, get rid of this like angled portion. Well, at least clean it up a little. I mean, it does add a little bit of strength having that there. But anyhow, trying to figure out my mount at this point. Originally wanted to take a tube and bend it up, over, and down, but we only really need like 5 inches of height. So I don't know if that would put our radius of our bend, you know, where our mount needs to be for our intercooler. So trying to figure that all out. I might do something a little different because all we really have is 1 5/8 tube, and that's all we have a bending die for. And I believe it is a 6.5 inch radius on that. So just trying to figure that out. I mean, like I said, all we have to do is come up about 5 inches. And I want to put tabs on it, and I think what I'm going to do, like I said earlier, is kind of clock it, you know, back so it looks just like the engine. Not that it really matters, but just a little something extra to make it kind of look cool when it's sitting here, you know, with the intercooler matching the engine. So just trying to figure that all out. But needless to say, like I said, this is not going to be a one-night video because it's getting late, it's a school night, and we need to figure this out. So on to the next day. So guys, it is the following day. Pardon any background noise. My neighbors are cutting some wood and splitting some wood and stuff like that out in the cornfield, or well, on the perimeter of the cornfield, obviously not in the cornfield. So anyhow, guys, I've kind of made a decision on what we're gonna do on the front here. As you can see, I have the front clip back off. I had put it back on last night because I was worried about rain and all. So what I want to do is put a bar from here to here with 2 bends. We're gonna have to use our 1 5/8 tube because that's all the die we have and all the tubing that we have is 1 5/8 083 wall. But I want to make an intercooler bracket with that, nice bends, make it look kind of presentable, and then we'll have our tabs. I still haven't decided on whether to lean it back or whatnot. But anyhow, I have our trusty Pro Tools bender set up so we can get our 1 5/8 bent. I have it made up in the Bentech where eventually it should look like that. I don't know why it's so small in there. I must have been zoomed out when I printed it. But anyway, just 2 simple bends. Hopefully we can get that in there and get this intercooler all mounted so that way we can mock up all our tubing because we're gonna have quite a bit of welding to do. So our Arm 3 Performance intercooler is mounted and looking good. Definitely digging how the whole front end of the truck looks with the front clip off. It just, you can just see all the goodies there. Our Arm 3 Performance intercooler, our D&J Precision valve cover, the D&J Precision dual CP3 cover, our fluid amper, our fleece intake. It just really makes that Freedom Racing engine shine. I mean, just step back and look at it. It looks awesome. I'm definitely digging it. So we got the intercooler mounted. I bent the tube up like I had said, got that all in place and looking good. Just mounted it to a couple tabs here. Like I said, I went with these solid clamps rather than like the vibrant band gens because that will help to support the intercooler so we don't have to have support up here. But definitely looking good. When I had the front clip on, it was pretty well centered in there, up and down. So that'll be good once we get the rest of the grill area all cut out. Also, when I put it in, I actually just tacked everything up and put the intercooler in. I kind of arbitrarily went back like 2 1/4 inches, and surprisingly, it just clears these 90s that I just have kind of taped up, as you can see. But it like our bars come like right behind them. It's in the perfect spot. I'm so happy. I really thought I was going to have to cut the welds and push it back a little further, but it just first shot we lucked out tonight with it. But yeah, she's looking good. That intercooler is going to look awesome behind the grill. Yeah, everything's looking good. So now we can start fabbing up our intercooler piping, the hot side and the cold side. It should be fairly easy, pretty straight shots. We might have to doctor up some of our pie cuts just to get the radius a little tighter, but it shouldn't be a big deal. Also with the Garrett coming off the turbo, when I had originally had this here, I kind of had it mocked up and the turbo pushed in. I'd really like to bring that out a little further, so we may come out and kind of angle on this side just to kind of keep the turbo away from the oil filter, just to make servicing the oil filter easier. Not that it's going to be too hard when we can walk right up to it with the hood propped and up or off or whatever. But yeah, very happy with how this intercooler turned out. Very happy with the mount. Yeah, it just looks awesome. Now, one thing to note, and I only thought about this about halfway through. We hadn't welded anything, but Yeah, so now we have a welded bar that sits about 5 inches up above our frame rails, so getting the engine out might be a bit of a pain. So about halfway through I kind of realized, you know, you never considered this. Well, got thinking about it, and if it comes down to it and we have to get the engine out, if we can't get it high enough, we can always cut this bar here and here. I believe that we have enough support with this weld and this bend that we don't actually need it to be connected. This intercooler doesn't weigh a whole awful lot, so we'll probably, you know, do that if it ever becomes an issue, and then we'll be able to just come right through there, because we do have to get the oil pan over that cross member. So basically your oil pan would be about at this level. So after that, I don't think it would be an issue. Not a big deal. You just cut that center section out. Like I said, we could probably do it now if we wanted, but why bother? It's, you know, just a couple slices with the grinder. Hopefully this engine does not have to come out anytime soon. Well, it's not going to come out anytime soon because we're not going to have the ability to run it at a track or anything with everything going on. Anyway, we do have we've made some progress in the whole getting the truck running thing, which hopefully you guys will see here shortly, and we'll go into all that. But for now, our intercooler is looking good. I'm digging the whole front end off the truck. It just, you know, if we had our windshield all uncovered and all that, it would look gnarly, especially once we get that intercooler piping and all that. Also, one thing I forgot to say, we did rake the intercooler back so it kind of matches the engine profile from the side. So they're both kind of leaning back about a 5-degree angle. So very happy with how the whole setup turned out. Also, drop a comment what color. Eventually, I'll probably get all our intercooler piping powder coated. I'm thinking right now probably the same color as the engine, that amber fire pearl. I'm not really into the whole polish thing. We got enough kind of bare aluminum that we're gonna have to upkeep as it is. And you guys have seen my trucks. I'm not much for cleaning stuff all the time. It's just, yeah, it's not my thing. So anyway, guys, drop a comment. Let me know what color you think we should powder coat the intercooler piping. Also, drop a comment what you think about the intercooler. I'm definitely digging how this whole setup looks. It looks awesome. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to get the front clip back on the truck just so we can put it away for the evening. And anyway, I hope you guys liked it. Hope you enjoyed. Get out in your garage. Get the wrenching on your truck. Also, subscribe to the channel and like the video.